Hey everybody, this your boy CS Killer Kid. We're coming at you back again with another comic book review talk. This time we are going over the highly anticipated Boom Studios Mighty Morphin #1. And this is a continuation and a new story of the original Mighty Morphin Power Ranger comics brought to you by Boom Studios. This comic introduces a new Green Ranger that has never been seen before. And normally when you see the Rangers, it's always 6. This time there are 7 Rangers, and we do not know who the identity of this Green Ranger is. So if you do not want to be spoiled on this story and you want to read it yourself, I suggest you stop the video here, go ahead, go read it, then come back, watch the video, and we can talk about it in the comments. So without further ado, we about to get right into this story. Issue 1 kicks off 1,000 years ago on the planet Artavias, and it's a new world that we haven't seen before. And what we see is this gold and silver warrior battling this big monster with some little dude on his back like he controlled him. And as you can see, the little one raises his arms up and the big one literally uppercuts the silver warrior. And the gold one says, "I am the protector. Your actions have violated the interstellar laws." And before he could finish, the little guy on the back says, "Then I will rewrite and destroy all your laws." And before he can do anything, the gold warrior literally charges in and says, "On this day, the power will not protect you." And what I like about that is we know the Power Rangers always say, "May the power protect you." And what we see is this gold warrior literally slashing and knocking this big monster down on his ass. And just as they get up, the little one says, "Very well then, you can have a brief appetizer." And before he can do that, the gold warrior literally shoots a beam right at the little guy, knocking him off his back and breaking the chains of the monster. And what he tells the monster is, "You have now been liberated. You can either waste your time hunting us, or you can go after these hunters and get your revenge." And what he chooses to do is literally go after the hunters. And what we see right here now is these warriors talking. What I want you all to do is pay attention here, because they say they are the guardians of Eltar. And who is from Eltar? Zordon. That is what we know. And what we see is one of the warriors is none other than the mentor of the Power Rangers, Zordon. And what I love about this is one of the very first times that we've actually seen a young Zordon, besides back in Go-Go Power Rangers when we saw a younger Zordon with Rita's mother when Rita was being born. And I love how they gave Zordon some more backstory, a little more on Eltar, and I want to know where they're going to continue going with this. And now we cut to a modern day where we see a present Zordon, and he's talking, and he's saying we can find a nebula hiding in space, a black hole collapsing on itself, infinite realities, but we can't find one rogue ranger. And Alpha is assuring Zordon that him and Billy are putting up every scan, checking the Morphin grid constantly, looking for this ranger. And he goes on and tells him, he says it's nonsense, he must keep looking. He has faith in both of them. And then we cut to the juice bar where we see the Rangers having a discussion. And Aisha goes on and tells Tommy, maybe he has some insight because he was a Green Ranger once. But Tommy goes on and says, "Nah, I was taken and was mind control. It's a totally different story." And Rocky goes on with his own little theory, and he was like, "Good luck, guys. All these points are useless. I think it's Ernie. Ernie always disappears when a Ranger shows up." And then Adam literally slams his hands on the table, and Rocky says, "Dude, not this again." Adam says, "I know who this is, and you all know who it is. It's no coincidence that the cameras went out at the exact same time that the new Green Ranger showed up." And Billy tells him that the command center cameras always go off, but trust me, it is not Draken. And that's who Adam truly believes it is. And then Tommy, as the leader, he tells everyone to chill and lower their voice before we expose our identities to the public. And Tommy goes on and says that, "Hey, look, I'm thinking this is a good thing. I have a feeling that we're going to run into this Green Ranger again, and when we do, we can get all the action. It would never hurt to have a new Ranger." And Kimberly goes on and says, "Absolutely." Adam with his arms crossed says, "Sure." And Rocky still believes that it's earned. We now go to the moon where we see an unconscious Lord Zed land on the table. And if you're wondering how Lord Zed got to this point, Lord Zed and the Green Ranger engaged in battle. And during that battle, the Green Ranger took his dragon dagger, stabbed and destroyed the green chaos crystal. And upon destroying the crystal, it let out this powerful surge of energy that sent Lord Zed and the Green Ranger both flying away. Now, Lord Zed was able to retreat, but it left him in this unconscious-like state that we see now. Babu then goes on and says that we do want him to awake, don't we? But the way Babu said it arose suspicion to the point that even his fellow teammates start questioning him, where even Goldar called him a traitor. But Babu says, no. Lord Zed gave us our Dark Ranger powers, and he threatened our lives if things went wrong. And if you don't remember too well, it did not end well on our end. And if you're wondering who the Dark Rangers are, the Dark Rangers are when Lord Zed used the green chaos crystals to turn Goldar, Squat, Baboon, Finster, and a putty version of Rita into his Dark Rangers to take the fight to the Rangers. Babu then goes on and tells Goldar and them that he's only simply suggested that if Zed regains consciousness, we may suffer the consequences. But he has a better idea. rather Zed wake up and take his frustration out on us, how about we get him a present? And that present is none other than a new Green Ranger as they go off to find a way to bring the new Green Ranger. But as soon as they leave, we start to see movement and life in the hand of the unconscious and powerful Lord Zed. We now go back to Angel Grove at the youth center where we see Rocky and one of his friends working out, lifting weights, and they're having this conversation. But while they're having this conversation, Tommy comes over and tells Rocky that you forgot about our sparring session this morning. And Rocky goes off and says, nope, me and Maddie are just finishing up. And then we have this awkward moment where Rocky's looking like, do you guys know each other? And Matt goes off and says, not officially, Tommy Oliver, Matt Cook, how you doing? And Tommy, with the evil Green Ranger look, goes off and says, yeah, I know who you are. I'll be over here when you're ready, Rocky. And Rocky asks Matt, what is that all about? And Matt goes off and tell him, it's probably because Kim and I kind of used to date. That's right, Matthew Cook was Kimberly's first boyfriend in the Power Ranger comics. Before it was the Tommy love, it was the Matthew love. And now we go over to where Bulk and Skull's new girlfriend, Candace, she's excited about this concert that's going on tonight. She wants Bulk and Skull to go. But Bulk goes over to Skull and tells her that, your girlfriend, you sure her name isn't Sunflower? And Candace actually hears this and she storms off and says, don't you guys got some water balloons to throw something? She's got to get to class. And this right here kind of angers Skull a little bit. But Bulk goes on and tells her, look, man, she's a little bit of a drama queen. And Skull goes on and tells Bulk, no, you always do that when she's around. Why do you always antagonize her? And Bulk goes off and says, maybe because she's always around, bro. I don't know. If she can't handle who I really am, then she can't handle me. And I like this because Bulk feels like he's the third wheel. But Skull also tells him, well, I happen to love that drama queen. So if you want to be around me, you're going to have to deal with it. We now see Aisha and Kimberly, and Aisha goes off and says she didn't want to say anything, but do you notice Billy's been acting strange since the new Green Ranger showed up? Kimberly goes off and says, Aisha, I'm going to stop you there. Aisha goes off and says, Billy's been obsessed with bringing the Green Ranger back for months now. Do you really think he knows more than he's letting on? Would you really be shocked about that? And Kimberly goes off and says, trust me, I know Billy. Does he get excited and a little obsessive sometimes? Who doesn't? But Billy is the last person who will lie to us. And we see Billy in the command center about to have lunch when Zordon asks him what's on the menu. Billy goes off and tells him it's corned beef on sourdough actually. And then Zordon goes off and asks me to have a bite. And Billy's just sitting there like, I don't know how that's gonna work. And then Zordon goes off to tell Billy about the time when he was on Eltar about these fruit that he loved, but they stayed at the top of the tree and the tree had spikes on them. And he told him it was painful to get up there. But he said he will always get up there with his hands bleeding and eat while staring at the clouds. And Billy goes off and asks him, do you miss it? And Zordon goes off and says, every day. And I like that because we're getting more story of Zordon here. And then we cut to the construction site where we see these workers, and the boss tells these guys to get back to work. And one of the workers, which I could totally agree with him with, is saying, what's the point? It's going to get knocked over in a few weeks anyway. And one of his friends literally points to him and says, hey, it may be sooner than you think. And points and says, Harry. And as you see, Kung Fu Panda and the lead of putties show up. His real name is Pandemonium, but I call him Kung Fu Panda. And Zordon tells the Rangers, assemble at once, the city needs you. And they literally says, it's Morphin time. We love this scene because it's White Tiger, Mastodon, Pterodactyl, Triceratops, Saber-tooth Tiger, and Tyrannosaurus. And the Rangers arrive at the construction site, and their first priority is to clear the workers out. And while they're clearing the workers out, they engage in a battle with the putties. And Kimberly goes up and says she can't believe they turned a cute, cuddly panda into a killer. What's next? A killer koala, as she literally kicks one of the putties right on his ass. And then they're going off with all these weird names. And Billy says one of my favorite ones, a penguin genocide or something like that. It is so funny. And Aisha says, let's not give Lord Zed any ideas. And Tommy says, workers clear the building as they literally are holding off the putties, and he's about to engage in a fight with Kung Fu Panda. And just as they clear off the workers, Tommy literally says, I don't want any more surprises, and tells the team pretty much to be ready and be on guard. And just before he can do that, Rocky literally says, well, and just like that, bam, in a nick of flash, the new Green Ranger shows up and literally charges in and attacks Kung Fu Panda. And literally is taking the fight to this panda, and he doesn't really talk much. We don't know who his identity is. Me personally, I think it's Matt. And Adam literally calls Alpha and like, listen, is Draken still in his cell? Alpha goes on and tells Adam that it's affirmative, and Rocky tells Adam, you owe me $5. Because remember, Adam was assessed that it was Draken. Tommy doesn't care. He tells the crew to finish off the putties, and he's going to charge head first in to take out Kung Fu Panda. And just as he's charging in, and he literally charged in and takes out the Kung Fu Panda with his signature line, "Saya!" We all know Tommy is famous for that, and he literally takes him down. And Rocky's looking at the Green Ranger, and he's telling the Green Ranger, "Hey, look, dude, Green guy, whatever your name is, if you want to help, it's best to hit him in the Z." And the guy just looks and just swings his legs back and literally knocks the putty off the construction site. And Rocky and them are like, well, that works. Now the Rangers finish taking out the putties, and they all draw their attention to Pandemonium, and they all are about to engage him in one attack. But Pandemonium's like this: no, I was sent here to destroy you Rangers. That is my job. I must retrieve the Green Ranger and destroy each and every one of these Rangers. And just as they're all about to attack, this Panda lets out his Ki blast and literally destroys them, knocking the Rangers back with this powerful energy blast. And Tommy tries to engage him, and the Panda's like, then I'll distract you. And just as Tommy is ready to engage, this Panda literally gets ninja-like reflexes and waka knocks Tommy right on his ass, and he says he's gonna make an example out of him. And just as he's about to engage, the new Green Ranger shows up again with a ferocious kick right to the chin of the Panda. And then he pulls out his Dragon Dagger, and he literally says it, "Dragon Dagger, power up." I'm like, oh man, we getting that little Jake Longfield, dragon up. You know, I'm getting that feel. And he literally releases a new move called Dragon Strike Kia. And this move literally, and I'm telling you all, he did not need a Zord. He literally obliterated this Panda with just his new flashy technique. And then to make it even worse, he hits this sick ass pose on him. Like, yeah, I just did that. Y'all know. Y'all thought white was good? Nah, the green is the best. And Tommy's sitting there like, wow, this is impressive. And he goes on and tries to get this Ranger to join their team. He's telling them, hey, look, you should come back with us to the base. You should really come back and be Zordon. We can work this out. And this dude looking like, man, 5 of y'all couldn't beat this little Kung Fu Panda, and I did it myself. And literally just teleports out of there with no words, with the most swagged out ability. And it was just straight up amazing. Props to them for doing that. And I love how they're keeping suspicion of the Green Ranger. We now go back to the moon base where Fencer is looking, and he goes off and says, it failed again. Goldar says, Babu, you said if we failed, we had other alternatives. Is it true, or were you lying? And Babu goes off and says, in his rather extensive arsenal of potions, he has a concoction that can bring Zed back under the right circumstances. And Fencer says, why didn't you lead with that? And he goes off and said, because the universe requires balance. In order to bring Zed back, one of us must go. And before Babu can literally say anything, Lord Zed said that will not be needed, and shows that he is very much still alive. And he goes off and said, instead of that green energy explosion killing him, the green chaos energy now flows through him, making him remember who he once was, making him remember why he truly is here. And all his demons are returning, and that he welcomes them with open arms. And I like this because we are about to get a true evil version of Lord Zed that I have been waiting for. We now go back to Angel Grove where we see Skull and Candace on their date. And Skull asks Candace, Candace, are you okay? And Candace doesn't say anything because she sees this mysterious person in the alleyway. And then she goes off and says, yeah, I just realized I think I left my phone back at the restaurant. As Skull goes to get her phone, she begins to walk down the alleyway and then goes on and says, I'm alone now. We only have a few minutes before he returns. And the mysterious person says, I hope you had a lovely meal. And then we see him come out the shadow a little more still, keeping that element of surprise to us. And Candace goes on and tell him, yes, it was very pleasant. He says, good, because we received the message. And Candace cannot believe it right now. She says she thought she had a few more weeks, months, hell, even a year. And he says, I'm afraid not. Things are moving quickly. And Candace has this sad look on her face. And out of nowhere, we see her look at her hand, and her hand literally starts changing colors. And just like that, she literally says, Eltar must be protected. And this is where this comic comes to a close. I am so excited for this because we're about to get more in depth with Zordon and the Eltar and all the other ones that come from that planet. I cannot wait. I also want to know what role would an evil putty Rita play in this, because she did in fact indeed escape. Now I can't tell you everything that really went down because I want you all to go ahead and read the comic and come back and talk with me, but I will be going over Power Rangers #1 next week. So please hit that like, subscribe button, and I'll see you all next week. Later.